Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Chiranjit Mishra and today I'm going to discuss the news items for March 28th. There are 4 main news and 10 quick updates. Let's quickly go through the news titles. The 4 main news are, the first one is about a payments vision for 2028 released by the RBI to boost India's digital payments ecosystem. It's already doing well and has been well praised by the IMF. Now, the second news is about periodic labor force survey annual report. So we'll go through what is the unemployment rate, what is the labor force participation rate, and what is the workers population ratio, and what are these different parameters. The third is about the new prime minister that Nepal has got, Mr. Balendra Shah, and India has already congratulated him. The fourth is about panel recommendation about protecting farmers from cheap edible oil imports. So this is something related to the security of the Indian farmers. Okay. Now let's go through the quick updates. The first one is about TRP policy, which has been released by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, which is television rating point. So TRP policy has been released. The second is about S-400 systems. So the Defense Acquisition Council has given approval for the acquisition of new S-400 systems. So India is also going to have its own indigenous system called Sudarshan based on S-400. Next is about Tungsukka air defense missile system. So these two news items are related. Okay, S-400 about your long range anti-defense and Tungsukka about short air. The fourth one is about fourth news item about Strait of Hormuz, and we have 3 related quick updates. One is about the G7 meeting related to the geopolitical tension. Second, the disruption due to Strait of Hormuz and how it is going to impact India's agricultural sector. And the third is about shortage of helium, which is used in chip manufacturing, semiconductor chips. Next is about avalanche in Ladakh. And the 8th quick update is about radio burst mechanism, which is going to help understand space weather. Next, shigellosis is another intestinal bacterial disease. So there is a recent outbreak in Kerala. So we'll understand what the disease is. Last quick update is about Saudi Arabia's restoration attempt through which they have secured 1 million hectares using cloud seeding. So without dealing further, let's begin with the first main news, which is the launching of Payments Vision 2028 by the RBI. Of course, it comes under GS paper 3 and an important topic for your UPSC CSE prelims economics. So the International Monetary Fund has already praised India for its strong digital payment system or payment ecosystem. So what is digital payment ecosystem? The entire network infrastructure which enables electronic money transfer. Okay. Digital payment ecosystem. The entire network that enables electronic money transfer, e-money transfer. We are not dealing with e-money, but without using cash, we are enabling money transfer. So you have come across several terms, and UPSC in the prelims exam has several times asked about India's digital payment ecosystem. For example, what is NPCI, National Payment Corporation of India? What is UPI? What is BHIM? What is Aadhaar enabled payment system? Okay. All these come under or in a way support India's digital payment ecosystem. NPCI, National Payment Corporation of India, it creates the infrastructure. Everything starting from storage systems, app development software, everything. And it sets guidelines also. UPI is actually unified payment interfaces. That means different bank accounts are related to one mobile account. It unifies different bank accounts. BHIM is an app based on UPI. And Aadhaar enabled payment system is actually a debit card less payment system in which your Aadhaar details are used to transfer money. Okay, so India has really done well by creating a strong infrastructure. And the International Monetary Fund said that India is really doing well. And you'll be surprised to know every month in India, we use this particular payment ecosystem to do how many transactions? It runs into billions. Some 18 billion monthly transactions. Okay. And it varies from month to month. Okay. This is as per one of the report which was released last year. So let's go through what India has achieved so far. So 2016 was a defining year. 2016 was a defining year which further gave a very strong boost to the digital payment ecosystem because of the demonetization. So Paytm was getting famous. Okay. UPI was introduced. Then now you use a Google app or Google Pay. Okay. So all these apps were used to, they were functioning separately. Now it has become interoperable. This is another keyword, interoperability. I hope you can see interoperability. This is something that India has achieved. And not just that, because of this strong infrastructure, transactions are becoming more and more fast, and also they're becoming global. Now Bhim is accepted in 7 different countries. We have also made inroads into Europe. France also accepts at some places Bhim app. Okay. So what more needs to be done? We need to make it more global and secure, because financial frauds are a huge challenge. Okay. Financial frauds. Okay. That is why the RBI released this payment vision 2028. Okay. So let's quickly go through the achievements and what we have done so far. RBI launches payment vision 2028 for digital ecosystem. Okay. Roadmap aims to strengthen and expand digital payments. So it's a roadmap. What more needs to be added to the existing infrastructure? Okay. Focus on simplifying cross-border payment authorization process. Now because Bhim has become global, and not just Bhim, you can also use other transfer tools to send money from India to abroad. Now here comes a challenge. There are 2 different acts that deal with financial transactions. One is your Payment System Settlement Act 2007. Okay. The second one is your FEMA, Foreign Exchange Management Act. Now the first one is for any transaction that is happening inside the country. Once the money crosses the border, FEMA comes into the play. Okay. So that is why 2 different acts, several rules. So it's a very tedious mechanism. That is why they are going to come up with this single window mechanism. Okay, single window mechanism is another part of this vision. Single window mechanism. Okay, the 2 acts together are not going to create any troubles for the players or stakeholders involved in India's digital payment ecosystem. Trades interoperability to improve MSME financing. So trades is actually trade receivables. It's a concept. Trade receivables होते क्या हैं basically? When a company, for example, it manufactures goods and another player buys its goods, and the second player says, I will make the payment at a later stage. Okay, that means for the first company A which manufactures and sells, it will say, okay, now it is an asset for me because the player B has made a promise to pay back the amount. Okay, player B. Player B say, I will pay you 1 lakh rupees after 3 months. A will say, okay. But A needs the money right now. What will it do? It has already the document, the proof which bears the promise made by player B. It will simply approach the banks or any other financial players. I want 1 lakh rupees right now, and there is this paper. You can keep it and give me some money. So banks will say, we cannot give you 1 lakh rupees. We also want to make some profit. We'll give you 90,000 rupees or 99,000 rupees. The best bidder gets the price. Now these are documents again. So there is a trading place or interoperability between different trade receivables. Okay, so that is also part of the payment ecosystem. India handles now something fodder for your mains exam. India handles nearly 50% global real-time payments. UPI revolutionized instant real-time digital payments since 2016. Demonetization. Okay, RTGS introduced in 2004 for large value transaction, and NEFT. We often differentiate between RTGS and NEFT. So RTGS is your real-time gross settlement. Okay, that means whenever the amount is sent by an individual to another individual and the two bank accounts are different, each transaction is calculated separately. It's gross, it's not net, and that is why it is very fast. So it doesn't bother about the calculations. NEFT में क्या होता है? It takes some time to get transferred. Why? There is this concept of netting. For example, if bank A, B, C, बहुत सारे banks involved हैं. A owes bank B 100 rupees, B owes bank A 1000 rupees. Okay. So A will get 900 rupees. It is called netting, 1000 minus 100. It follows this system. That's why it takes a lot of time to do calculations, okay, computations. Then check truncation system, another system, you check processing, it has become very fast, okay. DPS is created within RBI in 2005, digital payment system, which monitors all sorts of payments. NPCI established in 2008 for retail payment system, and PSS Act, these are related, but PSS Act came into being later. It gives RBI the regulatory authority. Now, whoever is going to be a part of India's digital payment ecosystem, be it Paytm, be it Google Pay, they have to follow the directives given by the RBI, because RBI has the right to oversight, right to oversee. Okay. PPI is expanded for prepaid digital payment instruments. PPIs means mobile wallets or any coupons that you can use. You can use money to buy coupons and the coupons can be used later. Okay. This is also part of digital payment ecosystem. Trade supports MSME receivables, financing and liquidity. I have already explained. Payment aggregators regulated through RBI master directions. So payment aggregators means they aggregate all sorts of apps and everything. Okay. And they also have other functions. For example, now PhonePe can be used for different purposes, bill payments, everything. So all these apps and their functionalities, they have to be guided by the RBI regulations. Because I said that UPSC is asked questions from this theme, in 2017, an easy question was asked. National Payment Corporation of India helps in promoting the financial inclusion in the country. There is no doubt in this statement, it's correct. NPCI has launched RuPay, a card payment scheme. That is also correct. Just like you have MasterCard and everything, RuPay is the Indian innovation. So both the statements are correct. Visa and MasterCard. 2018, another question. Bhim app allows the user to transfer money to anyone with a UPI enabled bank account. It's correct. Now there was a trap in the second statement. While a chip-in debit card, that normal debit card or magnetic tape at the rear side which you use, has 4 factors authentication, while Bhim app has only 2 factors. This is incorrect. Bhim has 3, security checking, because safe and secure transfer matters a lot. Who is sending money and to whom, and nobody undergoes any bad experience. For that there is security checking. First of all, Bhim app mein, at the time of installing the app, you get an OTP. That is the first level of checking. Okay, OTP and device binding. It's called device binding. Now the app is bound to one device through an OTP. Second is your app locking. You can lock your app using your Face ID or maybe a PIN. You can open the app. Then while conducting the or finalizing the transaction, you need one more PIN. So it's 3 level, not 2 level. Okay. That's why the answer is A. Next, Nepal gets a new Prime Minister, GS paper 2. Well, no direct question is going to be asked about Nepal's new Prime Minister, or maybe they can ask a question how Nepal polity is different from Indian polity. They have asked such questions in the past. But here it's about Nepal-India's relationship, which has taken a roller coaster. There have been ups, there have been downs, but still Nepal is our neighbor. And it is a part of several groupings of which India is also part, starting from SAARC, BIMSTEC. Okay, and India follows neighborhood first policy, so it cannot ignore Nepal. Neighborhood first policy. And what are the challenges? Of course, we have border disputes and China as a player which want to meddle into India-Nepal affairs. It happened in 2014, also 15, when Nepal's constitution got revised. There were many oppositions. Okay, and now you'll get to know the new Prime Minister, Balendra Shah. He is also of Indian origin. There is a community called Madheshi community in Nepal. He belongs to that community. And something radical has happened. This may be an important theme for essay and yeah, I would say essay, because the Gen Z protest that took place in Nepal a year ago, it was revolutionary in nature, and Balendra Shah in a way is actually a huge craze among the Gen Z of Nepal, Generation Z. So that means those who were born after 1997, between 97 to 2012, if I'm not wrong. Okay. So Balendra Shah, and he's a rapper. So now you can see we are having new leaders who have taken office with different new traits. He's a rapper. That means rap is a type of song or singing. Okay. So he's a rapper. That is why he's very popular among the youth. And he used to create, you can say, social awareness through his songs and raps. So this is an important theme. So new type of leadership, taking into consideration this new generation that we have, who have been empowered with adult franchise. Okay. But here we are going to go into the details related to India-Nepal relations. India congratulates Balendra Shah on becoming Nepal Prime Minister. India aims to deepen friendship and cooperation with Nepal. Okay. And as I said, Nepal has always been a very reliable partner, because we have a Gorkha regiment in which many Nepalis, Gorkhas, they're part. But China is someone or the country which is trying to create rift between India and Nepal. Strategic importance of Nepal. Nepal acts as strategic buffer between India and China. Okay, its geographical importance, key partner under India's neighborhood first policy, as I said in the beginning. Economic importance for regional cooperation through BIMSTEC engagement. Okay, so many Southeastern countries are also part, Myanmar and Thailand. And Bhutan also. Bangladesh is also part of BIMSTEC. India is Nepal's largest trading partner economically. So we matter a lot to Nepal, that means. Although Nepal is not our largest trading partner, of course it's a small country. It's China or the US, but Nepal's largest trading partner is India. Nepal is crucial for India's regional economic influence, okay? Because Nepal is a landlocked country. It's a landlocked country, okay? So that is why many Nepal-centric trades or trade routes pass through India, okay? Nepal's rivers vital for India's water security, hydropower potential, important for flood control in northern Indian states, okay? Because water flows through many rivers are actually transboundary rivers, starting from river Kali, okay, or Kosi. Cultural ties. Indian Army includes about 32,000 Nepali Gorkha soldiers. This has been from the British times, reflects strong military cooperation and mutual trust. Deep cultural ties reflected in roti-beti relationships. You see, there are many famous Indian actors, singers who are from Nepal, like Manisha Koirala and Udit Narayan. Okay. Challenges, and there is also no requirement of visa if you want to cross the border. Passport does matter, but no requirement of visa. So many Nepalis are employed in India. Okay. Challenges, boundary disputes over Kalapani, Lipulek and Sasta. These are the 4 regions. You need to memorize the names. Kalapani, Lipulek, Limpiadura and Sasta. Okay. Many places are in Uttarakhand and there have been boundary disputes. So place in the news and region. You can expect such questions in the prelims exam. Nepal's growing proximity to China raises concerns. Engagement with China's Belt and Road Initiative. So India needs to strike a balance. Okay, here, because India is the balancing power because of the Chinese inroads. So Nepal should not be over tilted towards China. Disputes over Mahakali Koshi, Gandak water treaties, delays in hydropower projects like Pancheshwar Arun 3. These are the challenges. Okay, delay in hydropower projects, although there are many transboundary rivers, but projects have experienced delays. Open border leads to trade trafficking, security challenges. Okay, starting from black money and everything, and fake currency notes. So that's all about Nepal. I hope you understood the importance from this piece of news. Next is about periodic labor force survey, annual report 2025. We need to go through different facts and figures, but before that we need to understand the concepts. So I'll help you understand, because there are so many. First, please go through the parameters. I hope you understood the context. Report has been released. Labor force participation rate, workers population ratio, and unemployment rate. Three concepts. I'll start with a very small and interesting example. Imagine an economy or a country with 100 people in total, hypothetical country. And among those 100 people, I would say people who are interested to work, let's say X is equal to 90. X people are interested in working. Y is that part of the population which is already working, 60. Okay. X are interested to work and Y are already working. So both these figures are from total 100. Total cannot exceed 100. Okay. Now LFPR, what is the labor force participation ratio? LFPR or labor force participation rate is equal to those who are already employed, 60. Okay. Sorry. 100 is the total population. X is equal to interested in working, 90. Y is equal to 60, those who are actually employed. So LFPR क्या है? LFPR is a labor force participation rate. Total part of the population which is working plus interested to work divided by total population. If you check the numerator, it is equal to 90, those who are interested to work. Okay. So it includes the working population also. So it is equal to 90 divided by total population, 100. That means it's 90%. What is the worker population ratio? That is the actual number of working population as a part of the total population. Y is the total population that is working. Okay. So 60 by 100. 60%. Now let's measure the unemployment rate. X is the total number of people interested to work and some of them don't have work. Okay. So if I say 90 is the total number of people that is interested to work and Y is the total number of population that is working. So what part of the population is unemployed? 90 minus 60 is equal to 30. 30 is the unemployment. Is the total number of unemployed people. And what is unemployment rate? 30 divided by that population which is interested to work. Total 90, not the total population. That means it's equal to 1 by 3, 33%. It's hypothetical. India's unemployment rate is much lower. Okay. Let's go to the facts and figures now. So there are two methods to calculate unemployment or employment rate. One is your usual status. It gives you a broader picture because it's annual in nature, 365 days. And current weekly status, because some sorts of employment are seasonal in nature, like agriculture, or maybe say extracting cotton from cotton balls, maybe because it's a seasonal thing. Okay. So how to capture that picture? You cannot depend upon one complete year. And there are also job market shifts which many companies want to take note of. For that you need a shorter time period. That is why this 7 days assessment. So two ways, one for this bigger picture, one for the quick movements in the job market. Okay. Now let's go through the findings of the report. Now I hope you understood the concepts. You can pause the video to better understand. LFPR 59.3%, male is your 79.1% and female 40%. You can see the difference. These points are very good for your mains answer. Okay. And you'll always see that labor force participation rate is higher than your WPR. Why? Because it includes those population which is already working and those who are interested to work. That means its coverage is greater. So LFPR is 59.3% total, males close to 80%, female 40%. It's almost double. M is equal to 2F. Okay. Males absent mainly due to continuing education. Okay, that part of the population which is not working, and females due to childcare and home duties. This is also very good fodder for your interview. The panelists may ask you what is the reason behind this dropout rate and that dropout rate. Okay. The workers population ratio is 57.4%. That is the total ratio. For males it is 76.6%. For females it's 38.8%. You can see the difference. It's always higher than the WPR. Unemployment rate 3.1%, rural 2.4% and 4.8% in urban. Now let me tell you, this is not based on any census. So sometimes the figures may vary because these are based on surveys. The entire population is not taken into consideration, only a sample. In statistics, we say N, capital N is the total population of India. And for that, we are going to get many important data from the upcoming census. Small n is the sample. That takes much less time to complete. That is why we go for surveys rather than conducting census, which takes a toll on the state exchequer. Now, unemployment rate in India is 3.1%, rural 2.4%, and urban employment is higher than rural employment. It can be a good statement for prelims exam also. As per the latest periodic labor force report, the rural unemployment rate is higher than urban unemployment rate. It's false. The urban one is higher. Self-employed share declined by 58.2% to 56.2%. That means many people who were working under themselves, they had their own ventures, that percentage has come down. Agriculture is still the largest source of employment, but its percentage has decreased from 44.8 to 43%. Okay, so these are very important facts. You can simply pause the video and note down all the points and try to memorize them also. Last main news about protecting farmers against cheap edible oil imports. So India is one of the largest edible oil importers. India has a huge population, and the per capita consumption of edible oil sourced from different sources like palm, soybean, okay, mustard, per capita consumption has increased many times, nearly 2-3 times. Although India is the 4th largest oilseed producer in the world, but productivity is very low. That is why we still import edible oils. So let's see what this parliamentary panel had to say. It's saying that Indian farmers are also growing different agricultural products or oil seeds and palm, which is facing competition from abroad. Why? So there are two different scenarios. When the global oil price, edible oil price, not crude oil, edible oil, जो हम खाने में इस्तेमाल करते हैं, that price is extremely low, many retailers or wholesalers will buy oil from abroad. So Indian farmers will be neglected. Their income will be hurt. Why? Because the global price is very low. That is why the panel recommended that we have to protect our farmers so that import duty can be imposed on the edible oil imports. But what if the market price increases a lot, and now the consumers are also hurt, Indian consumers. So there are two different entities to take care of, the Indian consumers and the Indian farmers. Okay, so that way we can tweak the import duty rate depending upon the global market rate. That is why they have suggested what you can call a dynamic import duty structure. Dynamic import duty structure for edible oil seeds. That means if the global rate is very low, we have to raise its price by imposing import duty. If it's very high and the consumers in India are suffering, we have to reduce the import duty. Okay, so this has been suggested, not yet applied, by a parliamentary panel. Okay, let's quickly go through the reports and the findings. A parliamentary panel suggests dynamic import duties linked to domestic production. Dynamic, it's changeable, flexible. Recommends 20% safeguard duty if prices fall below $800 per tons. As I said, if the prices come down, we have to maintain a threshold 20%. इससे अगर कम हुआ तो ये अपने आप लग जाएगा, ठीक है? India imports about 56% of edible oil demand. Again, a fodder for your mains answer. 56% of edible oil demand India import, despite being able to produce a lot. Cheap imports reduce domestic oilseed farmers' income. You understood why? Because the demand of the oil produced domestically will reduce. Why? The global oil price is already low. People will prefer the global oil. Push to fast track national mission for edible oil palm mission. Definitely many farmers are producing palm from which oil is derived. So by implementing this measure, they are going to protect the interests of the farmers. Such as viability gap payments for fresh fruit bunches. Viability gap means, I'll tell you this concept. Sometimes what happens, growing palm is not easy. It takes a lot of time to grow, sometimes 3 to 5 years. Okay. And what if there is market fluctuation of the prices of the palm? Farmers have already invested a lot and they're expecting the price to be around 100 rupees per some unit. And the price in the market is say 70 rupees per unit. The palm farmers will be distressed. That is why the government is going to fill the gap. It's called viability gap. The government will make sure that 30 rupees more is added to farmers' income. Recommends up to 80% subsidy on planting material. It is also going to provide subsidy. For example, whatever requirements are needed to grow palm. India is the world's largest importer of edible oil. It relies on imports of 56%. So you better remember this figure. Largely consisting of palm, soybean and sunflower oil. Palm oil is mostly imported from Indonesia and Malaysia. We switched from Indonesia to Malaysia for a short while because of the geopolitical tension between the two countries. I think owing to the CA Act 2019. But now still these are the leading importers. Indonesia is the largest supplier and Malaysia is the second largest supplier, followed by Thailand. So we depend upon the Southeast Asia for our edible oil imports. Okay. Let's go through the quick updates. The first one is about television rating policy. So TRP is a concept, I hope you understand, that measures the popularity of a channel or a particular show, TV show. Okay. And how is it conducted? For example, you use satellite channels and you use routers and all that. So meters are involved. They're attached to meters. Meters are attached to your TV sets. And there are certain companies which track which channels you watch, which shows you watch more. That way the popularity is decided. It is not, the meter is not attached to every household. Some 55,000 households. Pure India mein. So this is also like a survey, not a census. A small sample is derived. Okay. And on the basis of that, the advertisement people, they get to know, okay, if this particular show is popular, I will try to insert my advertisements at that time only so that more people can watch. Okay. Similarly, people also get to know what kind of TV series people like to watch. We'll also like to make such shows. So two aspects. One is for advertisement revenue or advertisement based revenue, and one is for making TV shows. Okay. So now a new policy has been released. That means more players can participate. Why only certain restricted companies will decide the TRP? Now we'll have more players, so there is less bias. And also the number of households the number has been raised from 55,000 to 1 lakh. Okay. And who releases TRP? It is released by BARC, not Bhabha Atomic Research Center. It's Broadcasting Audience Research Council. It's a private body, industry-led. But the policy is set by the government, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. That's it. Now the net worth requirement for a company to be able to judge TRP has been lowered from 20 crore to 5 crore. That means more people can participate. Okay, that is going to make it more democratic, the process. Objective: increase competition, allow new entrants. Sample size expansion. As I said earlier, 55,000 households were there. Now the number has been raised to 1 lakh. Also, regional bias has been removed. Now in rural areas also will get to know what kind of TV shows are watched. Okay. Earlier it was set slightly, there was a tilt towards the urban India. Compliance with DPDP Act, Digital Data Protection Act. Okay. Why? Because now you're going to conduct a survey by installing the meter. So you will get to know who is watching what. So you have to comply with the provisions of the act. That's it. That's all about the news. It's important mainly from the point of view of prelims, I would say. S-400 system, now the Defense Acquisition Council, which is the apex decision-making body when it comes to acquisition of defense capital. Okay. which is led by the Union Defense Minister. This much worth of weapons, other defense equipments we're going to buy, close to I think 25 billion US dollar. Okay. And S-400 we're going to procure more, as they helped us a lot during Operation Sindoor. So this is an anti-missile system. Whatever it can easily approach and intercept missiles, we need to procure more. Why? India has its own domestic system which is based on S-400 only. We are going to buy a Russian-made S-400 to make our own defense, strong defense system which is called Sudarshan for aerial defense. Okay. So S-400 missiles are capable, systems are capable of intercepting or engaging targets nearly 400 to 500 kilometers. Okay. And these are Russian made. We're also planning to buy more, procure more unmanned aerial vehicles or drones. You can see how important drones are in warfare. They're cheap, they're more effective, just like Iran is doing. Iran is very smartly playing the game. They're using Shahed drones, which is Iran was also exporting to Russia in its war against Ukraine. They cost only $10,000 and they can impose a lot of damage. They can harm you in many ways. Okay, that too for such a small amount of money. So that's why drones are more effective. S-400 systems will be central to India's proposed National Defense Shield under Mission Sudarshan Chakra. Okay, as I've already mentioned, and S-400 is Russia manufactured, used as India's Sudarshan. A question has already been asked in the mains exam in 2025. And I have already discussed it earlier also. How S-400 air defense system is technically superior to any other system presently available in the world. Okay, about its range, capacity and everything you can mention. Compare it with Iron Dome or Golden Dome of the United States. Okay. Next, India signs 858 crore contracts for Tunguska air defense missile. S-400 was long range. Its short range counterpart is Tunguska. That is also Russian made. Again, it can intercept missiles, but only short range. And its special thing about it is, I'll show you how it looks. You can see two barrels. One is a gun and another is a missile. Okay. So gun plus missile system. Gun means it will fire bullets and missile means larger cannons. So Russian made, effective against low altitude threats and drones. India's layered defense system. So in a way you can say Tunguska is going to complement the S-400 system. How? Because S-400 will target the long range targets and this is for your short range. Both are Russian made. Okay, G7 next. The next three news items are related to Strait of Hormuz, whatever is happening, and how it is going to affect India's agriculture and helium production or helium supply. But before that, we'll get to know about this G7 meeting, which took place to make sure that there is freedom of navigation. Okay, freedom of navigation in that particular area, and there is uninterrupted maritime trade. The entire meeting focused upon freedom of navigation. So there is movement of ships with ease and uninterrupted maritime trade. As you know, the total crude oil transport that is happening across the globe, nearly 25 to 30% happens through the Strait of Hormuz. And Strait of Hormuz connects Persian Gulf with Gulf of Oman. Okay. That is why the G7 finance ministers, they put their head together. I think India was also invited, though India is not part of G7. G7 was formed during 1973 oil crisis, another oil crisis during the Yom Kippur War. Okay. And it started as a small group with the first four members being UK, USA, then your West Germany and France. Then they included Japan, then Italy, and then Canada. That made it G7. Then they accepted Russia, it became G8. Then they kicked out Russia in 2014 after its Ukraine invasion. Now again it's G7. Okay, it has no permanent secretariat. It is not based on any treaty or convention. This much is enough. Next is Hormuz disruption and global food crisis. As you know, Hormuz is important for crude oil transport, for gas transport, and fertilizers. India imports 40% of its total fertilizers. Okay, not 40, I think 40 million. Sorry, 40 million. So it's required for ammonia and urea. Ammonia is a chief constituent for making urea. Okay. Now, how is it done? Either you can procure gas from natural gas, you can manufacture ammonia, urea, or you can directly import urea. India depends upon both the modes, and India procures it from Oman. Okay, and Qatar is the largest gas supplier. So if the imports are hurt, it is ultimately going to affect India's food productivity. Okay, and India has a huge population to take care of. So that is why it was in the news. Okay. India is the world's second largest fertilizer user after China. India uses nearly 40 million tons of urea annually. Helium shortage, again related to Strait of Hormuz. Now, helium is used as a coolant. Helium, as you know, it's an inert gas, just like your with atomic mass number, atomic number 2, which is represented by Z. 1 is your hydrogen, and then is neon, it's 10, 18 argon. These are all called inert gases. They are not reactive in nature. That is why for conducting experiments, they provide an inert atmosphere. And for semiconductor manufacturing also, they're very important because they can provide you low temperature experiment conducting atmosphere. Now, USA and Qatar are the largest producers of helium. Okay, He, its atomic symbol, and it is non-renewable. That is why it's a big headache for all the helium importing countries. Taiwan is also facing a crisis because Taiwan is one of the leading chips manufacturers. So it impacts semiconductor production. You can remember the names of the largest producing countries. It's United States and Qatar. Okay. Avalanche in Ladakh, 7 to 8 people died, and the place in the news is Zojila. Zojila means Zoji Pass, but we call it Zojila Pass. The word La itself means pass, so pass. A high altitude pass in the Kargil district of Leh, and it passes through your National Highway 1. Earlier it was called National Highway 1A, but now under the new nomenclature it's NH1. And it comes under your Ladakh and Zanskar range. Zanskar range is slightly south and it's north. It lies between these two. And it comes under two different districts also. Kargil district of Leh and one district of Jammu and Kashmir, I think Gandarbal district. Why? Because it is situated at the border of the two UTs, Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir. Okay. So avalanche, what is an avalanche? So quick movement of snow or slide of snow, rock or anything. Even if a glacier moves very fast, that can also cause avalanche. Anything associated with quick movement, just like landslide, but here it's not the movement of rocks, it's the movement of snow. Solar study explains mechanism behind radio bursts. Solar radio bursts linked to solar flares. As you know, that the sun emits a lot of charged particles, electrons in plenty, and also it produces strong magnetic fields. So when charged particles move in magnetic fields, they also emit waves. And here in this case, the wave is electromagnetic wave, but it's radio wave, slightly long wavelength or short frequency waves. And these waves disrupt or interfere with GPS signals. Okay, that is why it's very important to study them so that we can understand space weather. Okay, space weather, and protect the instruments and equipments we use here on Earth. So radio bursts are shock waves. Speed is 1000 km per second, not as high as you can say the light of speed, but 1000 km per second. These are called radio bursts. Too much. I think your sound travels at the speed of 340 meter per second. So 0.3 kilometer per second. This is nearly 330 times more, 3,300 times more, 1,000 kilometer per second. Affect GPS satellite aviation caused by charged particles plus magnetic fields. Improve space weather prediction. Which improves? This research, not solar bursts, radio bursts. Okay, the research will improve the understanding of the space weather, not radio bursts. Radio bursts actually affect the equipments here on Earth. Helps protect critical infrastructure. That's it. Next, shigellosis, which is a bacterial disease which affects kids or children below the age of 5 years, and the bacteria is mostly found in the intestine. So if you don't follow hygiene, you may catch the disease. And Kerala was also infamous for Nipah virus. That was a viral disease. This one is a bacterial disease. It is spread via fecal oral route. Okay, if you don't maintain hygiene, and that is why wash practices. Wash means water, sanitation, and hygiene. So the WA is from water only. The last news is about Saudi Arabia restores 1 million hectares of degraded land. So the Middle East is already disturbed, but one piece of good news coming from that region, that Saudi Arabia used cloud seeding techniques to create artificial rainfall so that vegetation can be boosted. That means because it's already one big desert, as you can see, and it receives little or no rainfall. So it's very important to keep the vegetation alive. That is why they used cloud seeding technique. And in cloud seeding we use two famous compounds. One is your silver iodide, AgI, and one is potassium iodide, along with some hygroscopic compound like salt, NaCl. They can capture moisture, and dry ice, which can cool down the system. Okay, so cooling is actually part of the upper atmosphere. If it's warm enough and you need to produce ice crystals, then we have to use dry ice, and salt for absorbing moisture. Or you can use silver iodide and potassium iodide. I think UPSC had asked a question, which of the following compounds is used in artificial rain? AgI and Ki. So that's all for today. Now try to make the most of VisionIAS digital current affairs. Now 6 questions will flash on your screen. Do take them. Wish you all the very best.